In evidence-based management, we talk about multiple areas of focus. We talk about multiple key value areas. And one of those key value areas, which is really important and most organizations and teams forget about, is unrealized value. Right? They're just as important. All four of them are as important as each other, but because this is the one that's often forgotten about, unrealized value is features you don't have. Maybe features you know you need to have, but you haven't shipped yet. Maybe there's features that you don't know you should have. And all of those things are driven by the market, right? And when I'm talking about market, you could picture in your head one of two things. If you deliver to customers, general public, it's a commercial product, then your market might be external to your organization. If you deliver inside of your organization, then the market is inside of your organization, right? So that's what I mean when I say market. The driving forces for what your product needs to do, right? Whether you fit the market, people are going to use it, people are using the features, people are engaging with the things that you're doing, people care about what you're building, right? That's all part of that market story. So unrealized value means that you don't know necessarily what you need to build, or even if you think you know what you need to build, it's based on assumptions, and you don't know what's actually going to provide market value, right? What's actually value only happens when you get it in front of real users. Everything before that is an assumption. We can try and validate our assumptions. We can try and weed out bad assumptions, right? Bad features, things that we don't think, oh yeah, we've done it on paper and it doesn't look like it's going to work. But the reality is that until you get something that you think is going to provide value in front of real users, you don't know whether it's going to provide value. Well, like if you were renovating a house, right? Are people actually going to buy it, and are they actually going to pay the price that you think they're going to pay? If you have a keen understanding of what people are looking for, if you have a keen understanding of the market, if you have a keen understanding, of who's going to turn up and potential buyers, then you can tailor the build of your product towards those potential buyers and make it more appealing for them rather than less appealing, right? So if you're renovating a house and you're going for a family of four, right, 2 kids, don't concrete over the garden, right? Because the kids want to play in the grass, the kids want to kick a ball about. A large back garden with lots of grass looks appealing to a family of four, right? But if you've got a one-person house with a garden, you want that, or a couple, right? A childless couple, you want that to be as easy maintenance as possible, because they might want to sit out in it, but they don't want to spend a lot of time maintaining it. Those are the things that you're thinking about with your products as well. Who's going to be using our products? What do they want to do now? What do they want to do in the future? How can we get different users? Who could we get in so that there's more people using our product? What features do we have to build to bring in net new users to our systems in order to maximize our value, right? Our product provides more value if it serves more users, either through a commercial relationship or through an internal providing value inside of the organization. So that unrealized value piece is that story, and how we engage with it. We don't know whether things are going to be successful, even if we have the coolest idea ever. So we want to break that down. I'm a firm believer in hypothesis-driven practices from a product management perspective. You have a belief, right, that a feature is going to add value to the product. As a product manager, as a leader in the business, as a CEO, right? I want this feature, but we need to break that down. What's your hypothesis, right? If we build this feature, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to have more users. Okay, well, how many more users do you think you're going to have, right? You turn it into a hypothesis. if we build this feature, we think we'll get 10% more users. Okay, what's the smallest thing from this feature that we can build in order to start validating that hypothesis? Well, we think this is the most valuable piece. Well, let's build that and see how many users we get. How many new users come to our platform because we built this smaller thing? And maybe that's only a few days' work to build that smaller thing, to test the market, to test the hypothesis, right? What was a great example of this, which is a little bit orthogonal, is Dropbox, right? When Dropbox, somebody came up with the idea for Dropbox. I can't remember the dude's name, but he came up with the idea for Dropbox. But his investors didn't believe that anybody would want that. So he couldn't get investors. Nobody would invest in his product. So he needed to demonstrate that people wanted to buy his product. So they created a pretty cool video. It's probably not pretty cool now, but Dropbox is pretty old. A pretty cool video that demonstrated the features in a like selling to a sales video. And they put up the video on a website with a text box for your email address. Put your email address in here if you're interested in this product. And then they spent some money marketing it, and they got millions of signatures. Millions of people put in their email address. And that was the evidence that they used to go to the investors to get them to invest, and they got their funding to start building the product. That's an example of, we have an assumption, we think people want this product, we're going to create a hypothesis, we're going to get lots of, that's my crappy hypothesis, we're going to get lots of people if we build this product. And then how do we test it? Well, here's one way to test whether people are interested in it, and we didn't even have to build the product to do it. So validating those hypotheses at every stage, and that requires, especially once you've built your product and you're starting to add new features, you're going to be using feature flags, you're going to be using continuous delivery to get those features in front of real users as quickly as possible, to gather feedback, gather telemetry on whether and how people are using those products. So your deployment frequency is a huge part of that story, because that is the minimum length your feedback loop can be, right? So if you deploy once every 2 weeks, you can't get feedback shorter than every 2 weeks, right? You're going to deploy to production at the end of the 2 weeks. You've then got to recognize the telemetry, and then you've got to get it back into your story of delivery. And so usually it's twice your deployment frequency. For most things, it's twice your deployment frequency. So if you do 2 week deployments, your feedback loop is 4 weeks. Get it into production, customer feedback, analyze it, get it into your backlog, product team picks it up. The shortest that can really realistically be is twice your frequency. So if you're deploying to production continuously, if every commit ends up in production, it minimizes that part of the feedback loop, and everything else is people. And people are much easier to figure out, how do we get this done more quickly, than systems, because systems take a lot of work for that.